Hello, I'm going to share with this video a brief tutorial on how to use R Markdown for making documents and presentations. So as I mentioned, the notes from this session I made in R Markdown, and so here's that file and what it looks like. I'm going to show you, I can share this with you too if you're curious, but what I'm going to show you is how to make one from scratch. So to do that, you go to File, New File, and instead of R Script, we're going to go down to R Markdown. And you can specify a title for this. Let's call it Portfolio Problem. Suppose you're working on the first problem. Your name and the default output. So R Markdown can make output in either HTML for a web page, PDF, and Word. Doesn't really matter because you can choose at any time what you want to knit. I'll show you. It makes a template where the top is a header. It's called a YAML header, YAML. It specifies some parameters for making this document. And then this is an option for when you include R code. So what these three lines means is I'm including R code in my document and some options for how you include it. And then this is the end of that R code. And so this is a sample document. There's some sections, and it builds it so you can already put it together into a document. So suppose I want to put it into a PDF document. I just go here to knit and then PDF. And I forgot to save the document. First thing it wants me to do is save it. So we'll call this problem 1. I'll save it. And it's an R Markdown file, meaning it's got specific code for R Markdown. And this example put together some code. So I'll explain what this is. These hashtags, that means it's a subsection. Maybe for my document, I want to start with a section. I'm going to call it the problem we're working on. And then this is the problem we want to solve. Okay. Now a double hashtag then is a subsection. And so maybe I'm going to include, okay, the solution here. And then double hashtag would be a subsection on part 1, maybe, of the problem. And I could say, okay, here is part 1. And then, okay, maybe a subsection for part 2. Oh, and maybe in the sections I have some R code I want to include. So to include R code, just like this little thing right here showed me, you can have R make insert the R code. So you go here to insert R. You could also do Python or SQL if you're interested. But here's the R code, and this is what we were doing in our R script. So choose 52, 5. Maybe you have 52 cards and you want to make a 5-card deck. Okay, so you can write this code in here, and you can execute it by hitting run, and it'll put this code, the result of the code, now in your document as well as over here in your terminal. Okay, and then maybe part 2 of the problem. We found this. Okay, you include some more code. The hotkey for that is Command Option Insert. Inserts code, and maybe I'm now saying choose 52 5 times 5. Choose 2, and executes that. I don't know what that is, I just made it up. Okay, and then you could add another section for the conclusion or the implications. And the rest of this code here, it's an example of how you can summarize data. Cars is a data set that's already in R. Plotting is a function for plotting stuff. So if you plot that, plotting some data on a XY axis. So those are some basic presentations, but we're not going to use them. Oops, I just deleted my implication section. Okay, very important implications. Problem. Okay, so I got this document. Maybe we can knit it to make sure it works. And since I knit it last as a PDF, it does it as a PDF. Suppose I want to knit it as a HTML, and I want to make it fancy. There are options that I included up here in my header on the other document that made a table of contents, TOC, and made that table of contents float. You can change a theme. You can number your sections. So I'm going to add that in here. You can tab them to have them align nicely. And these are some options you can play with to make the output fancy. So now suppose I knit it like that. Oh, there was an error in what I did. Okay, I need to change the default. It's no longer default. I have some specific parameters I'm using. So now you see I presented the document with some sections. So there's all sorts of things you can do in R. This is just a basic introduction. Oh, the last thing you can do is you could publish as a web page if you make an account with RPubs and make it available through a link that you can share, like I did. So there's a lot you can do. You can use the internet to learn more. But this will get you started. This is a template that I'll share with you now, and you can use it for you can just go in here and change some of your code, or you could add more sections for presenting your problem if you want to do this. So